This is a Youth Invest podcast. My name is Javon. On today's episode, we are talking to Miss Tatenda Makuzha, celebrating World Tourism Day. Each year on the 27th of September is our World Tourism Day, and this year we are celebrating it with the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth. And of course, we chose to speak to the lady because a lot of times women are left out of a lot of things, and yet they play a very big role, particularly in tourism. You can go around Victoria Falls, you can go around the places like Bulawayo. You'll discover that a lot of women are actively involved in tourism, not as employees but rather as proprietors, as owners of businesses. To note is that a lot of guest houses, a lot of lodges are actually run by women, and as such we saw it better to actually have Mr. Tatenda Makuzha with us today. Mr. Tatenda Makuzha is the general manager of Mawuya Lodge, amongst a whole lot of other things. Tatenda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Javon.
One of the things, is that I said amongst other things, which means I know you've got this, you've got that. Maybe just introduce yourself and also tell us some of the things that you do.
Okay. My primary job is general manager of Mawuya Lodge, as I mentioned, and last year in 2020 we opened a second branch just outside of Hwange, so I'm managing that. And because tourism is on the downside, we had to reinvent our lives, and I discovered farming. So now I have a patch of land where I'm farming some cabbages, tomatoes, and all of that stuff. But also in the community, I'm also the secretary of Women in Tourism for the Matabeleland North chapter. Yeah.
Oh, wow, lovely. The secretary for Women in Tourism. Yes. Matabeleland North chapter. Yes. Oh, beautiful stuff. I think when the main issue today, or rather that I'd love for you to actually outline for us. You've been in tourism for a while. Yes. You've been doing this for a while. Would love to what are the opportunities that are there, particularly for women in the tourism industry, and also particularly for SMEs in the tourism industry. Obviously we've gone we've got COVID-19, everyone understands that and everything, but we also believe that things are opening up. And as things open up, from what you have seen, from your experience, and also looking ahead, what are some of the things that you would say, these are opportunities for women, these are opportunities for SMEs, and maybe these are even opportunities for youth, because you're youth yourself?
I think I want to talk about three things mainly in terms of opportunities. And I think the first one is that there's always the traditional roles in tourism that we are used to, like, your general managers, like you mentioned that most lodges are run by women, and that's true even here in Vic Falls, where 70% of the lodges are owned and run by women. Okay. Yeah. So, of course, those traditional jobs will still be there. I think even more so post-COVID era, because a lot of people have moved out of Vic Falls. A lot of lodges are opening up. A lot more hotels are opening up. So I think now the opportunity that COVID has given us is that if you've always wanted to enter the tourism industry, now is the time to sign up for a course, volunteer somewhere. I know University of Zimbabwe offers amazing tourism courses at very reasonable prices. So that I think that's the main opportunity that's there with COVID now, that you have the chance to prepare and learn new skills and immerse yourself into the traditional roles, whether it's housekeeping, because with housekeeping, all you need to know is how to clean. Mm-hmm. And you can train on the job. 6 months, Yeah, and you're in, and you can be promoted all the way up to general manager in 5-10 years, So I think those are the main opportunities that are there, particularly for youth, that if you have been laid off and are sitting at home wondering, what am I doing with my life? Buy a book that studies birds. Yeah. Become a guide when tourism opens up. It's something that's affordable. Within $50, you can start a business,
Sorry, it's so interesting that you mentioned birds, because lately I've been meeting a lot of people who say, there's a lot of guides who know how to deal with the falls. There's a lot of guides who know how to, show you the trees, but there's not a lot of people who are dealing with birds, and there's actually money there.
There's a lot of money there. I know it first. I've experienced it firsthand because just before COVID hit, I had a group of about 10 French-speaking people that were here on a bird tour. They spent an hour sitting right here in my garden. I'm sure you can hear the birds singing.
Yeah.
They identified about 25 different species of birds here in my yard alone. So imagine the opportunities that are there if you go and sit at the falls.
Yeah.
You watch birds there, and from that you can register your own individual company as a tour guide. You yourself, without employees, book a group from wherever they come in. You pick them up from the falls, and because you can outsource some of these other jobs like transfers and accommodation and stuff like that. I think that's an opportunity for youth to start their own SMEs, because there's always the second thing that I wanted to mention is there's the belief that SMEs, you have to have an office, you have to have property, you have to have this and that. COVID has given us an opportunity where we have a new understanding of SMEs, where one person can own and run a business and it be an online business.
Yes.
You see how now people are doing it, where they have a whole shop, they have a website, and it's one person and they're making millions. So I think that's an opportunity that's there where we can rethink some of these some of these jobs that are related to tourism. Another one that I can think of off the top of my head, someone can say, oh, I don't like breads, I don't like to clean, or I don't like to cook. For me, what got me into farming, apart from the fact that my parents are farmers, the realization that with a lot of lodges and a lot of hotels and a lot of Airbnbs here in Vic Falls, most of our products were either coming from Bulawayo, Harare, South Africa. Small things like uniforms, would buy them in Botswana. Fruits and vegetables were coming from Harare, they were coming from Bulawayo. And with lockdown, those were opportunities that came up, where people now want suppliers that are close on hand, because should another lockdown happen, I don't want the stress of trying to figure out how my products are going to come from Bulawayo or from Harare or from South Africa. So there are opportunities where someone can say, oh, I'm not into bird watching, or I'm not into the whole chef thing or the whole guide thing. Maybe I'm into fashion. How can I enter the tourism field?
Be the supplier.
Be the supplier of uniforms. Something simple like that. A lot of companies want basic white shirt, khakis. But I tell you, there's one shop in Victoria Falls that sells khakis. One. But someone can simply go, people order stuff from China all the time. Order khakis from China, have them shipped here, sell them to a lodge. There are people that print things in town, Abo Blessing, Mr. Mate, have collaborations with those kind of people. I think those are the biggest opportunities that have come up with this COVID thing. Things like bath soaps. Yes. Only one shop in Vic Falls supplies soaps to all the hotels and lodges. And let me tell you, there are 40 lodges within the 5-kilometer radius of where we are right now. And this is just lodges with the same size as Mawea.
That one shop, they must be very rich.
I imagine that they are, but it's a Harare-based company.
Okay.
So here they only have one employee. So these are opportunities. So whether you've got large amounts of capital where you can buy a house, start your own Airbnb, or your small amounts of capital where go to use it, get a course, go to Zoe, sign up for a course, or start Ugo or something and become part of the supply chain. Yeah. Because that is where the opportunities are. But the other opportunity that's there is that government now is trying to rejuvenate tourism. So they are really revamping the whole youth and tourism idea. Because we are the future of tourism, and we are the future of the country, because tourism brings in a large amount of the GDP. So because it hangs so much in the balance of the hands of the youth, there are opportunities that the government is giving people where you can apply for a small loan to, rent a piece of land and grow some tomatoes. You can come to Tatenda and say, oh, Tatenda, I've got tomatoes. Can I supply you? I will deliver maybe 10 kgs of tomatoes a week. And you get your business off the ground. Yeah. Eventually, maybe you are buying 10 hectares of land. So those are some of the opportunities that I think are there largely for youth. And they are not even gendered, because anyone can do these jobs, whether you're a woman or a man. You just need to apply yourself.
Wow. Quite interesting, very insightful. Thank you so much. Like, quite interesting how, you also kept on infusing, farming into it. For example, in our last podcast, we're celebrating International Youth Day. And there was this conversation about, seizing opportunities, in our area, in our region, for example, even in our city in Victoria Falls, right? The conversation, was about, hotels used to even get, some of their fruits and vegetables from outside of the country. Yes. Some people, because now hotels don't have a lot of people, they found that opportunity, they're the ones supplying. And we're trying to actually figure out how do they continue supplying post-COVID. And obviously it was the issue of as well, collaborations and everything so that, instead of being small, you be big. If you're like 5 tomato farmers, you can now go to that hotel and say, you know what, we got you for the whole year, things like that.
Can I say, it's not about how big the business is, but it's about consistency. Yeah. One of the reasons, like, these companies have a chokehold on hotels, where a hotel will tell you we only get our tomatoes from maybe Pick and Pay in Joburg, is because of consistency. The worst nightmare for someone in purchasing or someone who's running a business is for you to have to start to be disappointed by a supplier who you've been working with and then having to find a plan B. Yeah. And a lot of businesses don't succeed because people are not consistent. Yeah. You can be supplying 10 kgs to one business for a year. That is way more, I think it makes more of an impact than you supplying 120 kgs in one go and you quit your business. Yeah, because what that does is that if I'm buying tomatoes from you and you're consistent, people in tourism talk, we have these groups that we're in where someone posts, I'm looking for this. If you've been good to me and you've been consistent, I will obviously refer you to another lodge owner. If you're good, that means now you've got 2 consistent clients. Yeah. That means you're delivering 20. By the end of the year, you've built on your clientele basis. But the thing is to be consistent. Because if you're not consistent, I will look for a new supplier. And if they're consistent, if they're treating me well, best believe I'm never coming back. Yeah. So it's not about how big the business is, but the consistency. Because even on your end, like my experience with business has been that as a business owner, better for me to get a small consistent amount sometimes, especially when things are tough, better for me to get a small consistent amount of cash coming into my pocket than to have sporadic amounts coming in. Because when there's consistent cash flow, you can plan on the next opportunity. And because in Shona they say mari unoshara imwe. Yeah, money comes where there's money. That's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because if I have $500 that's coming in at the end of the month and an opportunity arises and someone says, oh, there are stands in Lupane, let's go. You've got that. I've got 500. Yeah. But if I'm thinking, my next delivery is in 2 months and I'll get maybe 2,000, I've missed out on an opportunity to grow my business. Yeah. So better to have consistent things going, because also when you start being in business and you're consistent, you build those relationships. Yeah. Where someone says, oh, there's a stand in Lupane, you can build your Airbnb there because there's, and that's a different version of tourism that people don't talk about a lot. You can build your Airbnb there or whatever. If you don't have cash on hand and you have good business relationships, you can talk to someone and say, listen, I'm expecting money on this date. Please hold this for me. I will pay you. And if you are consistent and you pay them, more opportunities come because people trust you. Your name has something that's backing it. Yeah. That's the difference between successful SMEs and unsuccessful ones. Consistency and good relationships.
Consistency, good relationships, and one of the things that I picked also becoming part of the value chain. Because, it's not all about, the traditional roles. It's not all about, being employed. A lot of people love, I know it's not wrong. Everybody's somehow employed out there. But hey, guys, let's come out of, in employment and maybe, I don't know, try new things according to our talents, our strengths, our education. Any final words to a young lady out there who is listening, to anybody youthful into the SMEs?
COVID is not going anywhere anytime soon. You need to be investing in your future, particularly the young ladies. There's often the trap of saying, I don't have to worry too much about my future because I can get a husband, I can do this, I can do that. Invest in your future at all costs. The husband will come and he'll find you with your investments. That's a great thing. But don't wait for COVID to go away, or don't wait for a certain time or for conditions to be right for you to get your life in order. Research, talk to people. I know sometimes it's difficult to approach someone and say, what can I do with my life? But have a conversation with someone that you look up to, someone who's doing well for themselves, and say, listen, these are my talents and this is what I'm passionate about. Can you give me a little bit of guidance? What can I do? And I promise you, most women that I know are happy to mentor young women. Yeah. So don't relax about your future. Go for it. If you want it, go for it. Like, these days people want the soft life.
Yeah.
That is an opportunity there. You want the soft life, go to work, fulfill it. Start your business, get that degree, get the job. Yeah. Just make it happen. Make your dreams come true.
Make it happen. Yeah. Make it happen yourself.
Make it happen yourself. Yeah, make it happen yourself. Definitely.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That is Miss Tatenda Makuzha, and of course on Youth Investor podcast. It's been, I believe, insightful, and I hope that it helps you out there. Do not forget to follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, and as well as our Facebook pages. We are Youth Invest, and of course also make sure that you click like on our YouTube and subscribe. Thank you so much, and make sure that stick by for